Hey, what's up, Jesse? What's going on, Jesse? Who else out there? Jesse, man, I haven't heard from you much. What's up with the bikes, man? Let's see. I think we're good to go on all angles.
Okay.
There we go. He says all good here. Good, man. Good to hear from you. How your little brother doing? The folks coming in. We are live on all platforms. You know what I'm saying? We're live IG live, and we are live everywhere else. We're gonna have some good conversation tonight. The good sister Samia Fields is on here with us tonight, and I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna get it started because people coming in. Um, as y'all know, Polka Dot Rabbit Podcast, as you can see behind me, my man, Polka Dot Rabbit Podcast. We're here to uplift humanity and to awaken the melanated beings have fallen asleep with great information and great guests like we have today that are giving them pertinent information to go from there. Okay. And if you haven't already, of course, you might not be able to see it. Go to polka dot rabbit podcast.com. Pick up your book, your bozo. If you haven't got it already, please do. Um, my life story about how I got here today, a portion of it. Um, and enough of me. Let's talk about my good sister Samia here. How you doing, sis?
I'm good. Peace. Peace, everybody.
Let's
I'll,
see
I'll,
her. There she goes.
I'll keep the introduction short and sweet. Um, I'm Samia. I go by Samia. And what I do mostly, I guess, to sum it up, in all of the things that I do is I work in advocating for the development and or increase of the economic of the Black economy,
Hmm.
um, whether that be in programming, jobs, um, funding, things that most people don't do on the
Hmm.
back end of working for our community. I wouldn't necessarily call myself an activist,
Hmm.
but definitely an advocate. I
Hmm.
work behind closed doors to get money into the Black community the right way
Hmm.
and in many different avenues. So
Hmm.
that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, cool,
I'm glad
cool.
to be here.
So
you,
if she looks
you know me,
familiar,
brother. You know
yeah,
who I
yeah,
am.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
again.
yeah. I know. But we're gonna pull all the rest of this of it out here and get to you. So,
Yeah,
so if she looks familiar, yes, indeed, because I would keep on having repeat guests here, just because these individuals I bring back, they're devastating and they have very pertinent information that they need to give everybody. You know what I'm saying? Um, So if you saw, and if you haven't seen, please go to the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast because she's on there. All you got to do is click on see all videos, and she's on there. But I want to kind of move forward about what we kind of touched on last time, okay? Because when we talked last time, you honestly you blew my mind when it came to talking about you made me you shine a bright light on how even though we think people in the black community are doing better, we're still separated all over the place. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? And we hardly ever come together on a excuse me, a common cause to really make true impact. You know what I mean? So I guess one of my question is it's like could you like maybe like a foundation of very important things that needs to be made for us in the black community to make strides forward?
Mm. I think the biggest thing is to dismantle the idea that material things make someone
Hmm.
a better person. I say that because it's a real. It it encompasses pretty much everything.
Mhm.
Materials is what we thrive for. That's why
Mhm.
people get shot. That's why
Mm.
people get killed. That's why people get robbed. That's
Mm.
why, when we get money, what we do, we go and get materials. That is what makes us valuable as a Black person.
Mm.
Um, from a collective understanding, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that if we had a situation where we could just bring that idea of having materials being the substance of who you are down,
Mhm.
we could do a lot. We could do a lot more
So,
because
like,
there's so much focus on that it molds people into cliques and who you are and who helps who out,
mhm.
um, where people thrive in the Black community, where they don't, what kind of
Mhm.
education you might get in the Black community, where you may not. It surrounds money.
Yeah.
So if we could take portions of that idea away from the Black community and instill concrete or a foundational morale again, I think that
Mhm.
we would understand where we need to go.
It's interesting you said that because I was sitting there at Cracker Barrel, right?
Not
This
Cracker
morning.
Barrel.
Yeah, yeah. Cracker Barrel, you know what I'm saying? You already know them pancakes off the chain. So,
Actually, I've only been once, and the one time that I went, it was for a meeting, so I didn't
oh,
even eat.
really? Okay. So I was sitting at the table, and they got all those nostalgic, pictures, all those old picture stuff, and I
Mm,
saw a big picture, an old family. It had to look like it was in the probably the 20s, when early camera time. It was a Nubian, a black family, and I was looking at them. They all have dressed all nice and stuff. They had ties on, and there was a certain amount of grace that I saw in them,
mm,
dignity. You know what I mean? A certain amount of honor. You know, and for me today, I was like, we're missing that. You know what I mean? We're missing that. I think tremendously as a people, and I think that what you're just saying has a large part of it. You know what I mean? That has a lot to do with it. Just the materialism over spirituality. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And other things that really have always been a part of us since the beginning of our of time. You know what I mean? So you're saying that, do you think that maybe it's an imbalance of true, let's say, if we maybe want to call it true African spirituality, as opposed to, or true our indigenous spirituality, however you want to say it, and being replaced by this new consumer culturalism? I mean, consumer materialism. Am I kind of getting that?
essentially.
Hmm.
But I mean, I also think that there's history in us wanting fine things,
Hmm.
having fine things and then
Hmm.
just being stripped of them, right?
Hmm.
So it's not abnormal. It's not against our core to
Yeah,
want nice things or to
exactly.
have nice things, right? But
Hmm.
I think that there's an emphasis on what nice things add to the value of who you are,
Hmm.
in a sense. And
Hmm.
so because pre-colonialism, we didn't have that value attached to it where, okay, we had money, we had nice things, we had gold, we had riches, but it didn't. Of course it added a status, right?
Hmm.
But there wasn't a competition of this is making me a valuable person versus I'm rich and I can do things. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like I,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't know if I'm really,
No, that makes perfect sense.
resonating with that.
Yeah.
At this point now, it's dog eat dog. We're already on a standard of we're below standard when it
Hmm.
comes to
Yeah.
race
Substandard,
and
subprime.
exactly, right? I mean, we are the ones who hold and do everything, right? We're
Hmm.
the crew. We are the creators, right? But
Yeah.
in status, we're already low. So if we focus on money or valuables, things, these are the things that make us more white.
Yeah,
These are the things
exactly.
that make us more approved. These are the
Hmm.
things that make us more valuable or more, you know,
American.
accepted. And more American. And
Yeah.
and I, and I mean, I'll say I won't say that so much because that's a whole different conversation. But I've
Hmm.
seen where, especially in the South, where there are a lot of older Black Americans that are very patriotic.
Oh
They
yeah,
served in their
they sure
countries,
did. Yeah.
like, and but they're very middle class. They're
Hmm.
very, like, not into. They've got land, small, modest homes, been married for however long.
Hmm.
There's this idea of just like values, family values there that
Hmm.
they're very proud to be
Yeah.
American, but
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have the riches and they don't focus on the materials and things like that. So
Hmm.
it's a little bit of a different scenario when it comes to that kind of like patriotism,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But as far as on the other side of things, yeah, it makes you feel more important.
Hmm.
And so again, like just working in the Black community and working on the outside, like working from behind and looking in, it's like, okay. And then, you already know where I come from.
Hmm.
Austin, Massachusetts, it is not a pretty place to be. Even the suburbs for Black people are right in the hood. So
Yeah.
it doesn't, our opportunities are slim to none, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to Black people and as a collective, we're always fighting for an idea of having more,
Hmm.
having things to
Hmm.
make us better people, when
Hmm.
that's really not what it is. I think it's
Yeah.
the morale. We
Hmm.
have to dismantle the fact that white people don't accept us. Like,
Hmm.
who cares?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
We need to accept us.
Yeah. That's real interesting because you said that because I was thinking about even going back to the picture I saw, you know, and I was on a podcast recently, and the host asked me something, and they said something like, "Well, normally black people only acquired things by well, you only acquired wealth through generational transferring through generational wealth and etc." And I had explained to them, I was like, we got to remember the black people in America, they're the Native Americans. You know what I'm saying? We were here first. We had most of these, old courthouses. One of the oldest temples on oldest buildings in this whole in America is an old mosque. I think it's called like the Cornhusker Mosque or something like that, and like in Idaho. But my point is like when we were in segregation, before all of this, before birth of a nation, like like the movie talks about, we had all this. We were a completely different people.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think people understand that how it has been a degeneracy from once we intermingled and started going down, and trying to do everything you just said. We
Hmm.
lost values. I mean, do you think you kind of expand on that talk about that?
I mean, as a color, so my family is Haitian.
Mhm.
Okay. So I have a very different outlook on the way things are and the way
Mhm.
things could be, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I was born in America, but my values, my core beliefs are Haitian, like
Yes.
100% Haitian.
100%. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there are a lot of things that I don't actually understand when it
Mhm.
comes to the Black community and
Mhm.
the ideas that are set forth,
Mhm.
because there's so much sacrifice in the Caribbean community.
Yeah.
There's so much more willingness to not conform,
Mhm.
but make it by any means necessary, right?
Yeah.
So I could say something that could tick somebody else off because
Mhm.
I'm looking from a different perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that question is a little tricky for me because I try not to. I, I am American. I
Yeah.
was born
Me
in
too.
America. Okay, you know what I mean? So listen to what I'm saying here. I am an
Mhm.
American person
Mhm.
because I was born here. But my values, my beliefs, how I think is not American
Yeah.
form because I'm first generation Haitian. My
Yeah.
mom and my dad are not from America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody before them, same. So I would have to say that I don't really know so much where I would like to find out, or
Mhm.
I have my own opinions,
Yeah, gotcha.
but my opinion doesn't matter
Mhm.
because I'm not because I don't have the same idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I might be able to say something like, "Okay, yeah, there's a lot of things that I see that need to that could possibly do a whole lot better," or "This is what I'm seeing in the Black community, and this is what I think." But coming from that perspective would be misinformed because I
Yeah.
don't have any. I wasn't raised as a Black American person.
Yeah. Let me charge my phone. Hold on a second.
Mhm.
Well, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, I'm just. I was saying I wasn't raised with American ideas. So I would have to revert that question back and seek more perspective
Yeah.
on something like that.
Yeah, but I think that it's the key thing that you said. It still goes in a line where I guess where I was coming from because even in America, talking as a Black American, it's like I didn't even truly find culture until later on in life, and it wasn't anything that was American. I had to go back to my ancestors. I had to do my research, and I come to find out, that's exactly different than what a lot of the normal Americans think like. You know what I mean? So it's kind of different from my perspective because I'm seeing it from like both sides. I'm like, I lived in this. That's why I named the book "Living and Leaving the World of Illusions" because I lived all this. I understand this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? But then once I went back and started doing my research, it's like, yo, I don't want nothing to do with this. Because it's not going to benefit me for future generations. You
Mhm,
know what I mean?
mhm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so in your perspective, being an Haitian American, like what are the certain things that you see personally that that we need to work on?
There are a lot of things.
Mhm.
I think that one thing that needs to be worked on,
Mhm.
and this is like this may not necessarily be a popular thing to say, but um, we need to work on the Black men in the community.
Let's go. Let's go.
Um, I think that's first and foremost because
Mhm.
Black men are the pillars of the community. They're the
Mhm.
ones that hold the community strong in every
Mhm.
nation, every single colorful nation there is.
Mhm.
It's the male. It's the
Mhm.
male that holds things together. And I think what makes us so divided and so weak
Mhm.
and so disconnected is the fact that we have a divided, weak, and disconnected Black male as a
Mhm.
whole.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot of there are a lot of reasons why that has happened.
Mhm.
We could hold on to those things for dear life,
Mhm.
talk about them over and over again,
Mhm.
celebrate them once a month or once a year for a whole month.
Mhm.
Talk about all of the greats that happened in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and the 30s. It's great. It's fine. I love it. Right.
Mhm.
But where do we go from here? Because there's a lot of Black men talking. There
Yeah.
are a lot of Black men talking.
Mhm.
There aren't a whole lot of Black men doing on a
Doing.
larger scale, knowing
Mhm.
that they can do on a larger scale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's where the strength of us comes from.
Mhm.
So when you ask, what would be some issues or what would be some things, it would be that we don't have pillars in the
Mhm.
community.
Mhm.
Black man, I know for sure and I say single-handedly, but collectively
Yeah.
handedly,
Mhm. Collective hands.
collective hands dismantle a lot of the beliefs that we hold on to
Mhm.
from colonialism,
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
Um, the black man is the influence in the household when he's present and when his presence is positive.
Mhm.
There's a lot of influence that happens. Right
Mhm.
now, unfortunately, the black community is being led by black women,
Mhm.
which arguably, people would argue with me on this, is yielding a bunch of sissy black men. And
Mhm.
when I say sissy, I don't mean gay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So let's put that out there.
Put that
You
out
don't
there.
have
Yep.
to be gay. I just mean there's a lot of shouting, arguing,
Mhm.
confrontational,
Mhm.
want to fight men out there
Yeah, yeah,
when that's not how it used to be.
yeah.
A
I
man's
agree.
a man's presence alone could shut up a whole room
Mhm.
without him having to say a word.
I agree.
But now men, boys, kids, sissies have
Mhm.
to use guns, have to shout, have to
Mhm.
argue, have to,
Mhm.
flash, and because they're being raised by women.
Yeah.
Most
That's so
women, when
true.
they're raising young men, young boys, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're shouting, they're fighting, they're hitting. That's how it
Mhm.
works in the black community when
Yeah.
you're raising a boy because you're trying to make him tough, but you're not the
Mhm.
one that can do that.
That you can. Mhm.
You're not the one that's actually capable of doing that or holding that position in the household. It's supposed to be the man, right? So there's that. And then the respect of things.
Mhm.
So the most respect that men get in the black community as far as as far as the average black person is concerned, I guess I can say, is preachers and pastors.
Mhm.
They hold the most trust. They get all the ladies' money.
Mhm.
They get
Everybody's
all
money.
the
Everybody's money.
but specifically black women
Mhm.
who are vulnerable,
Mhm.
okay?
Gotcha.
And then the advice that they ask is always to these black men in the
Mhm.
church, right?
Mhm.
So they're getting a very skewed, very colonial
Exactly.
standpoint or view system, and that's what's now having control over our community.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so it would be the black man I would start at. If we could just get the black man strong again, I feel like the community, we would, there would be no
No. Yeah.
anything to mess
Yeah.
with. There
I,
wouldn't be.
yeah. I think about that a lot because I think about this old picture that I saw back in quote unquote slavery days, and they had like a white preacher behind the pulpit, and there was a black preacher up front, like teaching all black people, like the slaves, and I'm like, damn, it's like nothing's changed in that regard. You know what I'm saying? It's still all colonialism. The religion they're teaching is colonial. It's not ours. Every
Yeah.
aspect of it is none of it's. We don't have anything. And I talk about in a book. I say America, the system that they had that we're in, it only breeds niggers for black people, niggers and Negroes.
Yeah.
That's it. You either everything you just described about a male. That's hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? That's not a real culture. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a culture that we created. I'm not trying to diss it. I love hip hop, but going back to when we were, as a kings and queens and etc. You know, speaking our own language, having a system of marriage, having the system, what's it, rites of passages. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? We
mhm,
don't have that. We don't have that, and even with some of these, religions we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's still only touching. I don't care if it's Islam or Hebrew or whatever. It's still only touching on what we need to where we came from originally.
mhm,
So we just keep on spinning our wheels because we're doing the same thing over and over again.
mhm, mhm.
And our only gains, like you said, is like dealing with money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think about, how, so we talk a lot about ancient things,
Hmm.
things that are ancient, but unfortunately, certain things don't resonate with the generation that's coming up.
Hmm.
So, as an older generation, we have to kind of start thinking outside the box ourselves
Hmm.
with introducing who we can be now
Yeah.
with using now examples.
Mm-hmm.
And again, unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of now
Examples.
examples.
Exactly.
Like we keep going backwards. Every time
Mm-hmm.
it's February and it's like we're in, we're in Black History Month. I'm like, so the only people we have is Martin Luther King
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Harriet Tubman? Like, is that it? When do we get somebody new? Because like could we count Dr. Umar Johnson?
I mean, he's trying. I mean, I
Like,
mean,
who do we have? I mean, but
yeah,
when I say that, I say that in a joking manner,
yeah, yeah, of course.
like, but like honestly, like who do we have that's setting example on a large scale? Like we got brothers that's in the community that's doing stuff, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
have people that are examples, we have sisters that are examples, but right now, all of the people that are speaking and
Mm-hmm.
speaking on a live, very large scale, very influential level
Mm-hmm.
are Black women and Black gay men.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
who has everybody's audience right now.
Yeah.
Everybody
That's
that's
true.
who's captivated in those people. Those are the people who have people captivated. It's Black women,
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, creativism, fashion, hairstyles, boutiques, and whatever it takes. Black women got it right now, and
Yeah.
every white woman and every Puerto Rican and every whatever wants to be that.
Yeah.
This
Exactly.
point, Megan the Stallion and Cardi B are what
Yeah.
everybody it
Yeah. Yeah.
thrives
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So they have that. But
Mm-hmm.
then the Black male community, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we've got, wait, okay, no, they're gay. And then that one is trans. And then this one identifies as they.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't, there's nothing that there's, I can't really, unless it's like somebody gonna say Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah.
Okay, like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
another religious leader at
Yeah.
that,
Mm-hmm.
not just somebody who plays it neutral. There's an
Mm-hmm.
initiation process that you have to take in order for
Mm-hmm.
you to be a part of that community. You can
Mm-hmm.
hear the word all day, you can, practice and read the Quran and understand what they do, but on a higher level of things
Mm-hmm.
where you're really going to be able to absorb is being a part of that, is,
Yeah.
is is initiating into that. But without all of that, if
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that are not, leading our Black men or our Black community, what is?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any voices. And if we do, please enlighten me.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like even like when I was getting become conscious and stuff in the early '90s, we had all these new. Oh, could you turn your phone down a little bit because there's an echo? Yeah, just turn the volume down. Low. I just we were talking so hard, I was I was bypassing the echo. But when I was growing up in the '90s, I had so many of these good examples. You know what I'm saying? So many good examples. Of different black men, even sisters that were conscious and talking that information, because I remember I seen something I've never even seen till day. When I went down to Tamaray in Georgia, when Dr. York had the pyramid and stuff down there, and I saw thousands of black people that looked like me and you that were all on a specific core. There was culture, all these different things. And then this stuff is coming together like, man, there's a momentum. And then you know what I'm saying? The same tale that we've seen over and over again. You know what I'm saying? We can go back to Noble Dry Lee, all on, and it's like as soon as that person you're talking about, or these individuals talking about, the threats, they're wiped out, and then they're replaced by exactly what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And that's what I see right now.
So, right now, I think that our new rite of passage
Hmm.
is rewriting our own story.
Yeah.
Because again, we resonate with a lot of things that make sense as far as our history and how we came to be.
Hmm.
But the people that's after us, they don't care.
Mm-mm.
They really don't. Like, so they really don't.
Hmm.
You can drill it into them as much as possible. And there are going to
Hmm.
be some, again, those like very educated,
Yeah.
conscious, youngins that want to be able to do better, but we already have them.
Yeah.
as an audience.
Pick up. Yeah.
They're already signed up. So those are not the people we need to convince of anything. They're not the ones that need to be looking at things differently or having a different perspective. It's the ones that are out here doing the foolery,
Mm-hmm.
that they're doing that we need to resonate with, but they don't care about the
They don't
things that
care.
are in the
Yep.
past, right? So my idea is like, how do we rewrite scripture?
Mm-hmm.
What do we introduce to the Black community, especially the Black male, to rewrite scripture and then start absorbing the ideas that things need to be dismantled on a consumer level in
Mm-hmm.
order for us to be able to work in the way that we work together,
Mm-hmm.
to build new ideas, to build creative ideas, and then to
Mm-hmm.
start rebuilding community. But again, it's kind of like, wait, how does that happen
Mm-hmm.
if we're not having the right people that are influential enough? The people
Mm-hmm.
who are
Yeah,
influential
I
enough
agree.
are the rappers and the
Mm-hmm.
entertainers. And if we don't have the people that are influential enough, how do you move forward?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%. And I think that's what, because it seems today that we are on cruise control of idiocracy. You know what I mean? It's like we're on cruise control. I mean, there's nothing like you said. I was looking at some, I ain't hating on people like when it comes to things, but it's like when it comes to health in our community, we need to be serious about this stuff, because we dropping like flies just over nonsense. And
Mhm,
I look on TV and I see there's this big sister, Lizzo, I think her name is. I think,
mhm,
yeah, and she's she's a what they call them, plus size model, stuff like that. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? And everything on the boob tube is presenting the worst and the worst. It's the worst. What's the word? Model to follow in every aspect. In every aspect, you know what I mean? And that's like you said about Carrie B and the other cat. That's our teachers right now.
mhm,
You know, even going back what you were saying earlier about, peep this. Out of all the people right, growing up, whatever the case may be, you got certain. And it might be a little different, come from a Haitian perspective, but like there's only certain types of people that, like I said earlier, that are bred in America, certain mindsets. You
mhm,
know, so it's very rare. Like when you, even somebody like you have a Muslim, somebody from the Nation of Islam, most cases these individuals, um, what's the word? They have certain values, they have certain structure about them, certain disciplines. You know what I mean? In which you would say, I would like to, or Hebrew Israelite, or Moorish, just something different than the average everyday Negro. You
mhm,
know what I'm saying? They'll look at this individual, this sister, and be like, well, she's not gonna have sex before she's not married because that's a part of her culture. And she's not gonna do that. She's not gonna twerk and do all this crazy because that's not a part of her culture. That's not what they do in Islam. What's not
mhm,
they do in being a Hebrew Islam, et cetera, et cetera. And all the rest of it. But the average American, our culture, the way we've been raised here, is exact opposite. All the stuff that goes against our values is now normalized,
mhm, mhm,
and that's the atypical American.
mhm. Well, because American is all about freedom,
Yeah,
right? You gotta be free to do whatever the hell you want.
yeah,
That's the American way.
that's the
It's
American
like,
way. Yeah,
but like when you don't got like in a Haitian household, you ain't got freedom.
yeah,
That's something you don't have, is the sense of freedom. And that's
hmm
because like until a certain age, you don't make decisions for yourself because you
hmm
don't know better.
you have discipline, right?
Yeah, yeah, but you don't know better.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's what, yeah,
I
but
know better than you. Yeah.
yeah,
So you gotta stay in the lane until you can get to a point where you know better than me. Right.
that's almost like a rites of passage, though, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's instilled in your culture, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So you go down the street, in the other family, it's going to have a consistent type of
Right,
structure.
right.
That's culture. That's what we had, Going back to the picture I was talking about, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
And I just
And
noticed recently. Yeah, go ahead.
and I was just gonna say, I think it still exists.
Yeah, to a
I
certain
think that
degree,
it
I
still
agree.
exists to it
Mhm,
on a different level of what
mhm,
we think. I think it exists more in the working class Black American
mhm,
um, than it does in the upper class Black American.
mhm.
I think that
Oh
the
yeah,
values are much different.
yeah.
Um, and it still exists, but again, it's on a quiet level.
Mhm,
I don't
mhm.
want to say a low scale because it's probably a lot more than not. But what shines is the ones that are loud and obnoxious and are influencing everybody else. Everything else is kind of in the shadows, and you don't really
Mhm.
get to see many examples of that anymore. I mean, shit, they've dismantled Cosby even for us,
Yeah,
you know. So
exactly.
we ain't got nobody.
You know what I'm saying? That was my dude, man.
We
You
got
know what I'm saying?
Medea.
I
We got
felt
Medea.
proud.
Look, they gave us they replaced Cosby and they gave us Medea. We got to be grateful for that, I guess. The man in the wig. We got to be grateful for that. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like how you talking about the you had a different perspective because you're Haitian. I haven't seen much Medea, so I can't
no,
comment much.
look, well, let me say this.
I know the
I
Boondocks made fun of him.
so right. So here's the thing. I know you know what Medea looks like.
Yeah, yeah,
At
that's
least.
true.
So I don't entertain it because
Yeah,
I don't like it at all.
yeah.
If I'm being honest. But that is what has been replaced. That's what has replaced what we know as a good foundation of what a black community or a black, family or whatever could look like. We have now the ones that are so much more coonery and buffoonery that
Yeah, 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 yeah,
but
yeah.
people resonate with it, you
Yep.
know? People
Hmm.
resonate with it, and because it's been replaced, the right people are resonating with it, and it's a thing.
I have a question though. Like, this is more like on a spiritual tip. You know what I'm saying? Because the good book always talk about many are called and few are chosen, and talk about the 144,000, etc. So, is it at the point in which if you fall for, if you drink the Kool-Aid, then so be it. I build with the other brothers and sisters that aren't drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Is it to the point that if they're and the people that are questioning Kool-Aid or not trying to do it, each one teach one for the ones that have the right mindset even to do it. You know what I mean? Because you can't save everybody. We know that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
do we worry about that and just focus on the ones that get it or
Well,
are getting it?
I would say on a psychological level, no,
Hmm.
because one could never know how many people they could reach without knowing how many people they could reach without
Hmm.
trying, right?
Hmm.
So I could think all day, they're useless. You know,
Hmm.
those youth over there, they'll never make it or they'll
Hmm.
never buy in. And I've just lost an opportunity to enlighten
Hmm.
or
Wake up another Malcolm.
even guide, someone else. And I say that because I work with disenfranchised youth.
Hmm.
That I mean, to their core, the ones that nobody wants to work with,
Yeah.
the ones that nobody cares about, sometimes even their parents. Um, and then you show them a little love and they reject it.
Mm.
And you show them a little bit more and they reject it, but it's not as harsh as like the first rejection, right?
Hmm.
And then you show them a little bit more and they start to feel a little comfortable in it and then they start to change how they even receive compliments or how they view themselves and how they view people who they could think they can trust, right?
Hmm.
um if I were to just kind of look at it,
Hmm.
deal with it on one level of that the first rejection and that was it, I would think
Hmm.
that they were all lost causes.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that. I can't convince any of those kids that they can do better. I just can't. So I'm gonna just keep
Hmm.
going. So no, I don't think that there should just be one focus.
Hmm.
Or let's just because again, the ones that are gonna catch on are gonna do it
Hmm.
naturally.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
So we don't really those are the ones we really don't care about
Hmm.
because they get it already.
Hmm. Already
There's
got it.
there's there's not much drilling that those Those are the people who just need to be, you know, more active in their voice, including me. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, including myself. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm not all the way out. I got a lot to say all the time, all
Mm.
the time, right? But there aren't too many people around that are absorbing and giving the proper, like having the intellectual exchange that others
Mm-hmm.
yearn for,
Mm-hmm.
enough to be able to keep conversations happening all the time, right? It
Yeah.
has to be a forum, you know. Okay, we're gonna get on live and we're gonna talk about this, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we're gonna meet in a space and we're gonna talk about this, and then we just
Mm-hmm.
got to depend on whoever comes to come and
Mm-hmm.
listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
um so I guess I just feel like it could be more widespread if people were able to have more conversations with like-minded people, but there aren't
Yeah.
enough. They're not enough. So
Yeah.
we're just recycling conversations
Yeah.
amongst each other.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like where I was going because it seemed like going. Actually, you're going where I was going. It's like the people that are going to get it, they're going to get it, and the people that aren't going to get it, they're not going to get it.
Mhm,
And just the way that this whole system's set up, it's going to it's going to be unbalanced as far as numbers
mhm,
wise because you're going to
mhm,
have a lot less that because they are in the matrix, so to speak. You know
mhm,
what I mean? And a small percentage of us are out of the matrix. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have that. We're gonna have regardless. It's always going to be a smaller percentage, just like the 5 percenters say. 5%. You know what I'm saying? They break down 85%, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, those some real numbers. If if you ask me, as far as dealing like with the people like we're talking about that actually care and get it. You know what I'm saying? It's a small percentage of us that
mhm,
even have the intellect or even have enough knowledge or even have enough, you know, in the right mindset to even have this conversation right now.
mhm, mhm.
You know, and think
And that
about the other people. Yeah, but
you can see you can see where that 5% or what that percentage, where that percentage exists,
hmm
you know. But again, it's really small. And
hmm
even it's funny, I see on so people find it funny, but I find it very ignorant.
hmm
I see online all the time, all over the place. Oh, if a man or a woman says grand rising, it's a red flag. You know, they have the flags, like the red flag, 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 flag. If a guy says good morning, queen, red flag, 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 flag,
damn.
flag, right? And in honesty, it's like you you see who writes this stuff
hmm
and then who carries it around and
hmm
how viral it goes
hmm
and how many comments is in the sections where you see women and men really feed into this idea that even changing the way that you speak is a
Exactly.
funny thing. It's funny, it's abnormal, it's
hmm
stupid, it's they're critiquing it. It's a red flag. But yet you've gone and had an entire BBL, lipo 360. You spend more money than you make, all at the age of 25 years old, but you're laughing at me
hmm
because I choose to, and you use words, language like bitch and hoe to your
hmm
friends
hmm
to communicate with your friends,
hmm
right? Y'all always falling out, by the way.
Yeah. All the time.
But
Always arguing.
always arguing, but this is how you communicate with them. They be, oh yeah, bitch, y'all hoe. But you
hmm
wonder why y'all always in discord.
Yeah.
But then you you make fun of this idea that if you change the way that you speak, you could possibly sow
hmm
good into yourself.
hmm Yep.
This is where disconnect come from. It's
I
like
agree.
even some of my friends, like we're jumping on a bandwagon, and I'm like, y'all cut it out
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
you're
You had to
you're you're
regulate.
you're following this idea that changing the way that you speak
hmm
just to sow life into yourself
hmm
is funny. It's
Yeah.
comical. It's a red
hmm
flag. People
hmm
shouldn't do it. You won't date a guy or a woman if they do that. It's dangerous. It's very, very, very very ignorant.
Well, it's interesting you said that because like dealing well even like when I went to Haiti and dealing with other times when I deal with African spirituality and just dealing with newer information I got that was stuff that was ours as opposed to of theirs. It's like I got to a point in which the norm is to be abnormal.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? The norm for me is to be abnormal, meaning, you know, if I if I have to, if I set up an altar, if I want to do, these things that I know that me and my ancestors did, or if I want to learn my own language that I know that my ancestors spoke before, or etc., that is the norm because anything I was taught before, I realized it is completely foreign to me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
just saying that right there, you're still gonna get the red flags. You know what I'm saying? You get the grand highs and oh, you know what I'm saying? He doing that, he doing that stuff that voodoo stuff. You know what I'm saying? All kind of crazy stuff. But yo, when we were at our peak or whatever, our greatest, we had our own stuff.
So,
Nobody else was. We had our own stuff. We own language, everything.
I saw something that disturbed my spirit
Mm,
because I was Christian. Yes, that's how I identified for many,
mm-hmm,
many most years of my life until
mm-hmm,
I started to understand what was going on.
mm-hmm,
Um, I saw a post that was like, if a man does not have, if a man does not like basically like declare that Jesus is, Lord, you
mm-hmm.
know, then we don't have anything to talk about. And I
Yeah.
laugh to myself, like I laugh right now. It's not funny, but I laugh because I feel like re- let me not say real black men. That's not the right way to put it. But the black men that I see as real black men have dismantled that belief
Mm-hmm.
system.
Yeah.
Have a foundation, have a spiritual
Yeah.
guidance in them,
Exactly.
and can be good people to their core,
Mm-hmm.
but don't believe in worshiping Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not their thing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, going back to the beginning conversation of
Mm-hmm.
the man being somebody who could truly put us in a position, put the community in a position to understand better, right? We don't have that. So a lot of women are missing out on having men that can ground them for real
Exactly.
and really create a good wholesome family because
Mm-hmm.
they don't believe in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So again, you got all these sissy boys that's getting married to women that continue this idea that they should worship this white image, this
Mm-hmm.
white idea of of purity,
Of God. Yeah, of
of
God.
God, of
The
purity,
creator universe.
and so how much of the black family could really be like this if that's the belief system,
Yeah.
if that's how it goes. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this white person is way more important than me,
Mm-hmm.
instead of understanding that I am God too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we this is this we hold God in us. And if we can understand that, we will respect each other on a completely different level.
Exactly. And that's why all of the modern day religions, you know, they don't talk about that. It's all God is external, 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 and none of them all at all talking about God, that where the source of all is inside of you,
Mhm.
that animates you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That makes you able to do great things, and and you're a part of this, this vast thing. And people will beat you down over the head with that idea, and then won't have enough information to even back up their claims about what they believe on.
Well, here's the reason why. Because not only is it external, it don't look like us.
Yeah,
So how can we fully grasp or understand something that does not look like
it's
us,
completely
that does
foreign.
not come from us, that
Hmm.
does not truly resonate with us? When I
Hmm.
read about the children of Israel, I don't see Africans.
Hmm.
I'm sorry,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's not what the story tells me.
Hmm.
I can understand history and how history goes,
Hmm.
and what story we had there, but the Bible as my foundation, and somebody who who knows the Bible, who was in church from Wednesday
Hmm.
to Sunday every week.
Sounds
You
familiar.
There's a reason why you have questions, because things don't resonate.
Hmm.
Things are not sticking. Things are not really making sense. If
Hmm.
you force that to make sense, if you force
Hmm.
it to feel right, you're going to be trapped in the idea that that's all we have.
That's all we
That's
have.
end all
Yeah,
means. Yeah,
that's it.
and that's where the ooh, you do voodoo, ooh,
Hmm.
Santeria, ooh,
Hmm.
Ifa. Oh my God,
Hmm.
no, you
Hmm.
guys, y'all do black magic. We're not in that. We're not into
Hmm.
that. You cursed. We're not doing that.
You the devil.
Yeah. And then if they believe in it, they want you to do some kind of spell on somebody.
Yeah, exactly. uh, Samia, you from Haiti, right? This girl down here, she get on my nerves. Can you do some of that humble jumble
Can
on
you
her?
can you imagine that I've actually had people approach me on a serious level with that?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
seriously. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
you've got to be kidding. This
Mm.
can't be real. Do you really think that that's what I do? Listen, if that's the idea you have, you're really still drinking the juice. You're really
Yeah,
still
yeah,
lost
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
sauce. It's
You know,
unfortunate.
it's interesting, just because in my studies and the more even voodoo, even both voodoo and Haitian voodoo, it's like it's so crazy. Um, how everything is flipped away, and of course, because of the power in it, of course
Mhm,
they try to make it look like a devil and all this kind of craziness. But if people really truly knew that this stuff is all about nature, you know what I'm saying? It is the most grounded connection of way to connect with source. These African spiritual systems are that, and they are completely, for a specific reason, they've been slandered. They've been religiously slandered
mhm,
from the time old man from the plantation promoted Pastor Pork Chop and Deacon Do Wrong to run the congregation. You know what I'm saying? And
mhm,
that's literally what happened. Like literally. At
mhm,
first they were lying to us. I'm like, they're lying to us themselves, and they say, I don't feel like doing that anymore. Get Jethro over there to lie to everybody. We can go in and and chill out on Sundays, drink our lemonade.
yep,
And it just resonated. I mean, it just it's such a part of us that it's now in our genetics, in our DNA, a lot of our DNA. How
mhm,
powerful is that?
hmm. I
You know what
think
I'm
that
saying?
when we look at the devil and evil and good, I personally think that the devil is everything and anything, everyone and anyone
Hmm.
that keeps us from enlightenment
Yeah.
is the devil. And I read something recently that gave a different perspective of Adam and Eve
Hmm.
and the apple.
Hmm.
And it was saying that the serpent was actually not the devil.
Hmm.
The serpent was there to help them be enlightened.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
what happened, how that became, something that was no good,
Hmm.
was the fact that people, man, feel like they can interject with God's power.
Hmm.
And that's what they've done. They've put a barrier to true enlightenment, what we can receive for real, and what they allow us to receive.
Hmm.
And the people who can be truly enlightened are the melanated.
Yeah.
We can absorb from anything, from the
Yeah.
earth, from the ground, from the
Hmm.
trees, from anything, and make of it. If we're less enlightened and we're taught that, the serpent is the devil, or anything that we want more of is the devil, then we won't seek. We'll
Yeah.
just sit back and
I, I heard a very interesting perspective. I was listening to Bobby Hemmett. He was he was breaking it down at like he said he was basically saying he said the Negro, he called him the nigger. He was just like they are the perfect form to start over with because we're at the lowest level of anything. You know what I'm saying? Even though a small percent of us Negroes and they're making this thing, but this putrid, wretched state that we have been in, and you can only go up. You know what I'm saying? And my personal opinion, just dealing with the way things are in the universe right now, on the spiritual tip, etc. You know, I I still foresee the flip, the reawakening. I think it, me personally, just been seeing things. I still see, people waking up, even like you talk about young cats. You know what I'm saying? Young kid,
Mhm.
brothers and sisters, young. You know what I'm saying? And they sit there like, yo, that makes sense. And they breaking stuff down. And I was like, yo, how you mean? What you mean you didn't read no books? You just, you know what I'm saying? And like my perspective is in the day and time it is that it is flipping. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It is flipping. Going back to our question earlier, it's like the ones of us that have it in us are waking up, and there's nothing nobody can do nothing about it. You can all try to shoot people in the arm. You could put chemtrails all over the place. You can what else? Try to block out the sun. You know, going back to source, it's inevitable for
Hmm.
that caterpillar to become a butterfly. There
Hmm.
ain't nothing you can do about it. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be. Hopefully, I'd like to. I hope there's as many, like you said earlier. I hope there's as many that will be there. Going in that direction. But personally, I'm cool with the ones that are just a level because it honestly is a spiritual and genetic connection they have for them waking up right now,
Hmm.
just like me and you. You
And
know.
even if there's not like this sense of being enlightened
Hmm.
to a degree of everyone else,
Hmm.
there still has to be something that happens or a shift that happens in the Black community for things to
Hmm.
get better,
Hmm.
because we buy into everything and it's not getting better for us in
Hmm.
that aspect. Like this whole presidency thing and
Oh
all of the
Lord,
ignorance that went into that, it's just like, look at you, look at what y'all did.
I know, I
You
know,
bought
I
into
know.
this stupidity again,
Again,
guys.
and they laughing.
And legitimately, this is probably the worst that we've been handed. It like it is terrible right now. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's just so much ignorance. And again, I'm going to take it back to the very beginning. The
Mhm,
ignorance comes from not having enough pillars
mhm.
that are holding strong. If we don't have anything else, we need men. If we don't
Yeah,
have anything else, we need
I
Black
agree.
men.
I
There's
agree.
got to be, and on a large scale of protection and on a large scale of guidance. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
I
got to
agree.
be where, every school has Black men in the community that are
Mhm,
releasing the kids and making sure that there aren't any fights coming out of the schoolyard.
mhm.
Every, neighborhood needs to have it where if there's police patrolling the neighborhood, that there are Black men on every motherfucking corner
Yep.
watching out to say, okay, what are you
Mhm.
here for and why? Because we got this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We good.
When somebody is trying to get over on a Black woman in the store, trying to, she's trying to buy a car, and somebody's trying to hackle her in price, or put something else that she don't
Mhm,
need on a car, that there's always a Black man that's
mhm,
around that says,
mhm,
you know what, sister's not paying that price because I'm
mhm,
protecting my community, because my
mhm.
dollar is in this, because her dollar is in that, because we circulate in our dollars, so we're not
Yeah.
having it. Other
Mhm.
communities do better
Do that
in that
all
because
the
that's
time.
what they do.
Yeah.
The Asian community,
Mhm,
you can't get past them. The
mhm.
Indian community, I mean, they're essentially Asians. All of these other communities, even the Native American
Yeah.
community,
Mhm,
as much turmoil that goes on there, same thing.
mhm,
There's a sense of protection from the man
mhm.
that happens that says you don't want none of this. Mm-mm.
Um, they done, got rid of James Evans. James Evans. JJ's daddy, from Good Times, that
Yes,
image,
yeah.
say they done flipped him off to something completely different because, that image right there, shoot, that he remind me of my dad, to a certain degree, you know what I'm saying,
But now,
strong, JJ, you know what I'm saying, Michael with the, all that stuff.
If you saw James Evans on TV now, he'd be abusive.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know what I'm
He'd be
saying?
too hard on them.
Yeah, and it's a trip, man. You know what? It's interesting. Just going on a since we're kind of going that direction. The more and more I just really the every single day I just really see what we're dealing with. I look at like Hollywood, and I say to myself, now since I can go back in time and think about all these shows and all these movies I saw, that thing right there is the most devastating propaganda machine, you know what I'm saying, that I ever, because I think about watching this, and it goes two ways. I remember I just watched about a month ago, 2 months ago, I watched Superman, right?
Mhm.
And I remember watching it as a kid, you know what I mean? And to look at that, see this strong white man flying around doing all this stuff like that, and him look exactly opposite in me, you know, I was sitting there watching it. Now I was like, oh my God, the brain, you know, the the programming, you know what I'm saying? In all these other movies I've seen, in which the black person gets killed first. Oh, they got Oprah, one of the richest ladies in America. She sweeping up after somebody. You know what I'm saying? And they got Halle Berry doing porno scenes on movies. You know what I'm saying? And all these different stuff. I'm just like, this imagery, all this stuff that we have, in which the media and all this stuff, dude. It is, unless you completely just you know n- you don't watch it, or you completely decode everything. It is one of the most powerful things I've ever seen visually. I could ever imagine,
Mhm.
and then manifest it into it.
It goes back to what we value and how we value ourselves. If we're valuing ourselves as a dollar,
Hmm.
then we're gonna keep doing that kind of shit. Versus a Jordan Peele movie ain't
Yeah.
gonna pay you too much. You might get paid in the end, but you don't know what you're getting into when you first get into it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But if it's a
Hmm.
black director, it's gonna be a black cast. It's gonna be some black shit.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
It's
Real
black
tough.
stuff. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
you're afraid of the money. You want to make it. You want to go big time. So you have to put on the dress
Yeah. You got to
and
put
you
on
have
dress.
to get naked because
Kissing
you want
men.
the money and
Yeah.
the fame. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter about how you're uplifting your community at that
Hmm.
point. It's about what you can get from what how accepted you can be in this arena. But I do think that there are a lot of things that are changing in this aspect when it
Yeah.
comes to black creatives, independent create like independent uh, companies that are coming together that
Yeah.
are saying, we're going to do these kind of films that represent us more. And I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of movies that have black involvement or black people in it are not the same old black people anymore.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
We're
Yeah. Yeah.
starting to see a lot different, a different representation.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree
there's more
100%.
natural hair. This is
Mhm.
getting darker.
Mhm. Yep.
You know, the
Yep.
women are getting darker. The men
Mhm.
are getting blacker. You
Yeah.
know, it's not Shamar Moore anymore for everybody.
Yeah. And Halle Berry. Yeah. Well,
You know.
and again, and that's what I'm saying. There is a progression.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be a progression, because even just in life now, whenever you see TV, you always see on TV, you see like a black man and a white woman on all the commercials. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, okay, there's an agenda behind it, obviously, and you know that there's an agenda behind it, and so that there's a certain amount of, um, um, all right, there's a certain amount of, what's the word, retreating, or giving up on the whole idea of the original white supremacy, because science will tell you, you know what I'm saying, it's a whole different beast having that melanin. Let's
Mhm.
keep it real.
Mhm.
And their scientists will be the first one telling you.
Mhm.
I've seen this one thing on TV. This one white lady. She literally said it, this out of her mouth. She said, I would only procreate with a black man. And man, it was a black person saying that. Had a, on a mic and whatever. And he was like, why would you say that? He's like, because I want my children to survive in the future with melanin and strong genes. She said that straight up. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? I know, for when I was living in London, this French girl that stayed in the hostel, her dad was a doctor. She pretty much told me the same thing. She said, my dad told me I should marry a black person. You know what I'm saying? And that's also a progression that we're seeing as far as like, oh, you black and ugly and all this kind of stuff. Now it's starting to be the value of it is starting to come to the forefront.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yep.
see that a lot now. You know what I mean?
And I'm hoping it gets more. I hope
Mhm.
I'm hoping that the ideas of value, the what we put on, how we value ourselves
Mhm.
changes,
Yeah.
and it's key. If and I can actually tie that back to the beginning as well. If look, if the black man values himself more, and if there is more sown into him by the black community, not
Mhm.
just the black woman, but the black
Mhm.
child as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if there's enough sowing into the black man, that black man can become more valuable to himself,
Mhm. Mhm.
feel more valuable to the community, and add value to his community for us to be able to thrive on a higher level.
Yeah. I think that this generation, from what I'm saying, like generation like us, our generation, are ultimately a lot of us now can be the perfect for this day and time, be like the perfect teachers in a lot
Mhm.
of ways. I'm saying that because a lot of us know the finance game, the economics games, you know what I'm saying, and ways to now build generational wealth.
Mhm.
A lot of, just like we said earlier, we don't believe in them old time religions. You know what I'm saying? We don't believe in them. We don't believe in that anymore. So we're getting more in connecting with our ancestors, our spirituality. You know, and everything is shifting to the point of in which we now are conscious and aware of enough that we need to go back to go forward. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We have all the tools now. We do.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I already know. Even though people might look at, well, we have all the tools that we need to embrace and and not only embrace our powers, but also internalize them to spread to others to and just keep on each one teach one. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? With that next level type of mindset. You know what I mean? We're the ones right now. We're the priests and the priestesses today. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? The ones that are talking like you and I are talking. We the ones, we got to move forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. There's just got to be that moving forward, and I
Yeah.
and I can say that it's on me too. Like I have to
All of
do
us.
a lot more. I think that I get into a space where social media feeds us so much,
Mm,
and there's so much bad influence from these
mm-hmm.
influencers that I try to stay far away from it. I was talking to another brother of mine, um, like that, in that same sense, where he's got a huge following, very influential, very this author, written books, all these things, but can get a little taken back by that, by having to influence, by having to perform and to come on and to
Hmm.
give people what they want. And I've always been very protective of that when it comes to myself.
Yeah.
So I was telling another friend of mine, I told her, I said, she's like, how come you don't do these sessions at we do these events every month? How come you don't do these sessions at these events? And I'm like, girl, because I don't be wanting to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't want everybody to be asking me questions. Like if it's a natural state where I'm talking and we're vibing and we can enlighten each
Mm-hmm.
other in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
then that's good. But otherwise, I've felt it where people are energy leeches,
Yeah.
where they
Oh
suck
yeah.
you in, and then it becomes like, now you've got to do this.
Yeah.
Now you have to
Mm-hmm.
perform. Oh, now we expect it. Oh, you're not
Mm-hmm.
giving us the answer that we expected. Now we're mad at you.
Yeah.
Now we're critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, that's real talk. That's real talk. And me, I ain't gonna front. I'll be like, I'll be telling, my folks around me, I'll be like, most people are assholes anyway, so I really don't, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the reality that I've come across, the vast majority, that 85% are freaking assholes. So I mean, I expect, jerks from most people. You know what I'm saying? Now that the people around me, you know what I'm saying, you included, the people that around me that I can confide in. It's a high percentage of high level individuals. You know what I'm saying? And they've shown themselves to be on that level consistently. You know what I mean? But most other people, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but man, come on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I even look at like, just people, you know, people are so hung up on like the stupidest stuff, man. You got people that still are racist. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I mean, just like, you know, that's a prime example of a degenerate mindset. So why would I even, what I mean, even be at all, a part of anything that comes on? I'm talking about, I'm talking about, when I'm talking about, people being racist, just that mentality. Like January 6th, like all these people out there doing all this, all this stuff is like, you doing all this all of a politician?
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? The politician told you to do all this stuff. You know what I'm
But
saying?
so people make their own choices. They
Yeah.
didn't make them. Trump or nobody else made anybody stupid like that did anything. You
Hmm.
can incite whatever, but if you're that much of a fool, then you're gonna do something like that, you know.
Exactly.
And I feel like this. Okay, racism, great, fine. You're racist, perfect, whatever. You do you, I'll do me. I
Hmm.
actually don't care for white people. So if you want to call me racist, it's
Hmm.
perfectly fine. I know
Hmm.
I can't be, but look, you're not my flavor of tea.
Hmm.
I'm not going to tell you how many white people I have as friends because I don't.
You got
We're,
zero.
so we're, and it's not because I don't like, it's just that's just not like, if it is
Hmm.
what it is, right?
It's
So
true. I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's
each
true.
his own. I actually prefer you not to care for me because I
Hmm.
don't need you. I don't need you. You
Hmm.
don't need me, right? But when it becomes something that is systematic
Hmm.
and it goes beyond the stupidity
Yeah.
of people, you know, running around in the Capitol or, burning flags or,
Hmm.
following people home and trying to harass them. Once it
Hmm.
becomes now you're supported by power.
Yeah.
Now you're actually supported
Hmm.
by powerful people who want to
Hmm.
do the same thing. Then it becomes an unfair game because
Hmm.
if you give us all guns, we're gonna win that fight. If you
Yeah.
give us all something to work with on a on
Hmm.
a on an equal playing field, you already know who's going to take it out, who's
Hmm.
going to take you out. There's no,
Hmm.
but they have to dismantle all of that from us. They have to strip you from all of that before they can call you a nigga in your face. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah. I mean,
got to
because
be able to be sure that that can fly if they stripped you of all your power because it is what
it
it is.
it took me because growing up here, especially down south in Virginia and all that stuff, it took me a long time just dealing with all the races and stuff to realize it was epiphany to realize like I had an epiphany in which I really realized why I went through all of that, you know, and the reason why I went through all that is just to be able to understand all this.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like literally, because I mean now there's nobody. I don't care what you look like. You know what I'm saying? I've been around the world. You already know. You world travel. We world travel. I've been around all the world, and I've seen the same personalities and the same skins all over the place.
All over.
It's the same. It's the same shit.
It's a fact.
Ain't no difference. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? That's why I say I don't care what. You an asshole. Vast majority. Y'all
Hmm.
assholes. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. You know what I'm saying? But still, I mean, if you're around me, you got to be somewhat. I don't care what color or even so, if you're around me, you got to have a certain level of what's the word, civility. You know what I'm saying? And non-savagery
I've
or. Mhm.
I've actually experienced more um, courtesy
Mhm.
from what we would consider racist in the South than
Mhm.
I have from racists in the North.
Oh yeah.
Um, there is an ignorance of
Mhm.
what black and white is in the South.
Mhm. Yeah.
There is a hatred
Yeah.
for black in the North.
Yeah.
It's very, very different.
Different.
And
It is.
people like talk about this whole Confederacy and I'm like, bruh, I'm telling you, some of the most country, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, white country towns, going into Mississippi, going into Alabama, Louisiana. I have not been treated terribly.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I'm just being honest, I've
Mm-hmm.
not been treated in a way that it's like it's usually Southern hospitality,
Mm-hmm.
the normal.
The
I mean,
culture.
of course, there are some fucked up places you don't want to be where
Don't want to
people
go. Yeah.
are ridiculous, but the masses of them, for real, it's like, "How you doing, sweetheart? What can I get you?" Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's just that's what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
up north, right when you're going into Virginia, Pennsylvania,
Yeah. Yeah. Delaware. I-
when you're going into the Pennsylvanias and I don't want to have anything to do with white folks.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing to
Yeah.
do with you out there in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, out
Mm-hmm.
there in Boston. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want it because you're the ones who will get me missing.
Yeah.
You will spit
Exactly.
in my food. You're the
Mm-hmm.
ones who won't welcome me. You'll turn your heads
Mm-hmm.
all the way around and look at me crazy when I walk in the
Mm-hmm.
door.
Mm-hmm.
You will be the ones to follow me home or to try
Yeah.
to run me off the road. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, but there's just a large misconception that the South is just this big, huge mixing pot of people who want to stake black people and hang them on trees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, no, they're there.
You you
They're
broke it
here.
down. Yeah, you broke it down earlier on the first one because you were just talking about how you broke it down historically, just talking about how, people that up there, everybody kind of like was living up to. They kind of were. They had no choice but to, even though they're segregated, they still had to work together in their towns and etc. They knew each other. Well, that's a Johnson boy over there. What I'm saying.
Mhm,
They
mhm,
they had that, and they were forced to do it, even more go historically because, as we know, indentured servants, a lot of them were white anyway. So
mhm,
they were they were living on with the they were underneath us before the color code switched. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? So
mhm,
white was black and black was white. You know what I'm saying? So of course you're gonna have a certain other type of respect of you know because of the cultural and historical history, the culture and historical, what do you call it? The way that we live together culturally and
mhm,
historically, because
mhm.
it's way different than north. Because it started here and went north. You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah. But that's
Very different.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What I'm saying, if
I'd
you're good
probably
folk,
would go to I'd probably go to Cracker Barrel in the South before I went to IHOP.
uh, it's funny. We chose Cracker Barrel over IHOP today. But I did it because of the pancakes. What I'm saying? I specifically, I was like, oh, let's see, but and they were fire too. I ain't gonna front. They were
I'm
jumping, boy.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah, I was
They
mad
didn't
as
want
hell. 'Cause the lady said she told me, said the so and so meal, it come with 3 pancakes. She brought the food. I saw 2 pancakes. I said, huh, huh, you said three? No, it's only two.
I want all three of my
I want
pancakes. Don't
three.
play with me. Don't play with me, lady.
You know what I'm saying? Give it to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, any projects, anything you got going on, you know what I'm saying? That you
Well, right now I'm in the process of doing a lot.
hmm
I like to have things come into fruition, manifesting them versus just talking about them.
yeah.
Um, but I'm building for the community, looking at different ways to gentrify using Black people, right?
hmm
So it's shaking up the idea of what real estate and development looks like.
Mm.
And I'm an integral part of that right now, with some major companies that are developing within the metropolitan city. Um, so it's been very interesting, this journey, this new journey of
Can
mine. It's been
imagine.
very interesting to see the sea of white people that make decisions for urban planning.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Of course. Of course. Of course.
So
You know what I'm saying?
that's one of the biggest projects is being an integral part of redesigning what gentrification looks like.
Mm. I think that's was very interesting that because of generational wealth and the system was set up with generational wealth. Going back to what we were saying earlier about us having the know-how and about the finances to make things happen and etc. And manifesting it as you said as well. What other? I mean, we got this whole system of white supremacy, but when it comes to money, what I'm saying, money. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying between the Smiths over there that are making 200 combined making $300,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? The white Smiths and the blacks, the blacks, what I'm saying, that's making the same amount. There's no difference now between besides the white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I always thought is interesting that I learned in Atlanta, living in Atlanta so long. It's like just riding MARTA. I remember because I used to ride MARTA to work every time, and I look around and I was just like, either of these people, black or white, could be millionaires. I wouldn't know it.
Mhm. Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because that's just how people roll in Atlanta. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Black folks just, they got money. They work together. You know what I'm saying? And they but you know, it's the the financial game. It's of course it's unbalanced, but we are because of that. Going back to you saying, but as far as being trying to work capitalism, materialism, and etc. You know, financially, we're starting to creep up. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You're getting more people with educations that are getting higher paying jobs and etc. Um, so there's no much more besides white supremacy. The system itself, because you get out of that, then it's almost an even playing field.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
people are even like, I know big companies now, they're like, yo, we want to, if you black, come on, we want you.
Yeah, but we started making some noise,
Yeah, exactly. And
like
just
real noise, not just like we
banging on some
shall
pots. Yeah.
overcome noise.
Banging
Like,
on
I get
pots.
it. Yeah, but like now we're just like, well, you know what? Actually, we're just not going to invest in you anymore. We're not
Exactly.
going to spend our money with you anymore.
Exactly.
That's fine. You
Exactly.
don't have to do that. We're
Hmm.
just not going to bring it here. We're going to bring it over here. And
Hmm.
they're scared of that because Black
Exactly.
people create everything. We do
Everything. Yep.
everything. We are
Hmm.
everything.
Yep.
And if we get that power back, we could be even more.
Yep. And that's
And
just on the money tip, because even with the whole picture, like we said earlier, we get that spiritual money back. I mean, that spiritual power back, because you already know. You already know what happened when some of your folks decided they were fed up in Haiti.
that right, and that one's coming. That
Yeah.
one is gradually coming. People are
Hmm.
gradually,
Yeah, I
even
agree.
feeling something, even if they're
Hmm.
still going to church and
Hmm. Hmm.
there are a lot of people even feeling something like, dang,
Hmm.
something's just not
Not right.
really there are a lot more people that are approaching life differently, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
excited
agree.
about it. I'm definitely excited about it, but again, I think that I'm looking forward to having more young Black men
Hmm.
be a part of this, be a
Hmm.
part of this, especially the spiritual part of it,
Hmm.
so that we have a stronger foundation spiritually as well as socially and
Socially and
economically and
economically.
things like that. I think that we all need to have a spiritual foundation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
More.
agree with that. I agree with
And
that.
brother, I'm just gonna let you know I've got my phone is getting ready to die on me.
No, I had to plug mine up too, like mid interview. So no, but that's good. We good. We good. We did our did our thing. So y'all keep an eye out for Samia. She's gonna be one of the other geniuses I like to call them, to always have back on every so often. And this is her second, so I'm hoping to have third, fourth, fifth, and on down the line. And who
Wrapping it up.
knows? Yeah, who knows? Me and Samia might come together and work on some things that that y'all to help the folks. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate your time. I hope I don't cut off
Absolutely.
before your phone dies. And y'all
I'm
y'all
looking at
check
it
her
now.
out.
I'm like, golly, it was on full when we first started, and now it's just like completely gone.
It's that power. It's that power. It's that energy. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So y'all, as always, I'm gonna do the outro. Y'all say check out your polka dot rabbit podcast.com. Please follow Miss Samia. Please follow me. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep on spitting and talking this real talk. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ain't feeling uncomfortable when you hear and especially when we talking real talk or conversation on Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, you don't feel uncomfortable, we ain't do your job. And you know what I'm
Right.
saying? We gonna keep on keeping it real because cats like this you looking at right here, that's all we know how to do. You know
That's
what
the
I'm saying?
only
Because
way.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Because if they heard half of our conversations, Samir, the internet probably crack in half. So we gotta,
Nobody would see our lives. They would they
yeah.
would, they would block them.
All right. Well, this is an amazing time. I appreciate your time. Like I said, I can't wait to get you back on there. And down the line, we're gonna talk some other talks, and we got it. You know what I'm saying? And when we finagle some things, Belize it is, right?
Yes,
Belize it
sir.
is.
Yes, sir.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Believe me, I was just tweaking some things today. So um Belize it is. Mayan
Yes,
temples,
yes.
Mayan temples, here we come. So
I'll be looking forward to it for real.
yeah, yeah, real talk. All right, y'all, we out of here.
All right, peace.
Look at Rabbit Podcast. Peace. Let's see. All right. So